Guys, in this video we are going to continue our discussion on exception handling, and we are going to talk about another very common type of exception handling, that is array index out of bounds. Now we know that if the size of an array is n, then the valid indices range from 0 to n minus 1, right? Now the programming language such as C and C++, they do not do a bounds checking. That means if I go below 0 or above n minus 1, then this is something that the programmer is expected to answer and not handled by the language. Now it may yield unnecessary and unwanted results. So this is the exception that we are going to handle. I'm going to create a file. Let's look at the programming example here, and we're going to combine this programming example with the help of a function, in a sense showing that exception handling works within a function as well. Of course it works in the main function, but it also works within a user-defined function. So my file would be called as array index out of bounds .cpp. Array index out of bounds means that we have an exception, or we have an exception due to the index going below 0 or above n minus 1. I'm going to write down hash include iostream using namespace std. I'm going to have the array size as 5. Now 5 array size means that my valid indices range from 0 to 4. I'm also going to go ahead and initialize it with these values. So the first element a0 gets initialized to 1, a1 gets initialized to 2, and so on and so forth, with a4 getting initialized to 5. I'm going to make a function. Let's give it a meaningful name. Let's call it initialize. I'm going to pass an array as well as the number of elements. This function will be responsible for printing out the array. Does not return anything, so I'm calling it as void. I'm receiving this array in the first parameter and n the total number of elements. Right. Now since I'm going to use an infinite loop, and I'm going to keep a variable index to keep account of it, since I'm using an infinite loop, it is possible that the indices will go beyond n minus 1. So I'm going to put all of these statements within the try block here. So while 1, if index is greater than n minus 1, or index is less than 0. Now both this means that I have an exception here. I'm going to throw the index. Otherwise I will simply go ahead and print the value at the index. Not only that, I will also go ahead and increment it. Now exception handling is based upon the try block, which ranges from here to here, the throw keyword, and I also need to respond to the exception thrown. So I'm going to go ahead and write down catch index. Since this is an array index out of bound, I will go ahead and I would write down a respective message, array index out of bounds. That would be the end of this program. Let's go ahead and let's try to compile it. Array index out of bounds.cpp. Got lucky there. No messages, no error messages. And look at that. So this array was passed to this in the function. 5 was passed to n. Index was set to 0, while 1. Index is 0, which is not less than 0 and is not greater than n minus 1. So it printed the first element 1, got incremented, printed next element 2, right? 2, that means index 1, and the second array element 1 is not greater than 4 and 1 is not less than 0. So it went ahead and went into index became 2. When index became 2, 2 is not greater than 4 and not less than 0. So a of 2, which is 3 here, index became 3, 3 is not greater than 4 and 3 is not less than 0. So a3, which is 4, with the post increment, it became 4, 4 is not greater than 4 and 4 is not less than 0. So you never came into throw index. A4, which was 5, got printed, and then it became 5. 5 is definitely greater than 4, so this statement throw index comes into picture. X becomes 5. Since I'm in the catch block, the rest of the statements are terminated, not executed, and I end up printing a statement array index out of bounds. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be safe. Thank you.